The blackness of space was silent, endless, and cold. Stars burned far away, like eyes watching from the dark. But something was moving now, something huge, hidden for centuries. It drifted slowly out of a broken asteroid field, its surface scarred, its body covered with dust and rock. At first it looked like dead metal, another forgotten ruin from an old war. But then, lights flickered. One by one, old systems came alive. A sound deep and heavy echoed inside the ancient machine. It was a warship, not just any warship, but a human supercarrier, lost long ago in battles no one remembered. Whole empires had risen and fallen since it last moved. For ages, alien civilizations believed humanity was gone, erased only a shadow in history. But now, this ship was waking in. The control chamber, dust fell, as ancient panels glowed. Systems spoke in machine voices, low and broken at first. Core power, 90%. Life support, minimal weapons. Offline, slowly order returned. Deep in its memory, the ship still carried a message, a purpose written by human hands thousands of years ago. When humanity is forgotten, we will return. Outside, a small scout vessel drifted close. It belonged to the Zeth, an insect-like race that ruled the nearby stars. Two of their pilots stared at the massive shape before them. They had never seen anything like it. It should not be here, one of them hissed. This is human design, but the humans are gone. The other's mandibles clicked nervously. If this ship lives, then the old stories were true. The humans were not weak, they were monsters. Inside the supercarrier, power surged. Energy crawled along its hull. The ship's engines lit with a thunder that shook the silence of space. The Zeth scouts panicked. Report this to the High Nest. The pilot screamed, but it was too late. A single turret on the warship turned. Though most weapons were still offline, this one awoke with deadly precision. A flash of light cut across the dark, and the Zeth ship exploded in silence. Leaving only fire and fragments, the warship's voice, mechanical yet human, whispered into the void. Threat removed. Protocol active. Humanity will rise. Cross. The stars, this sudden burst of energy, was detected. In distant systems, alien leaders saw the signals. Some laughed, thinking it was just an old wreck breaking apart. Others felt fear, an ancient fear, passed down from their ancestors who had once fought the humans. On the planet core, the Zeth High Nest gathered. Millions of their kind whispered in the great hive halls. Reports spoke of a giant ship, human-made, alive again. The High Queen hissed, her wings trembling. If the humans return, they will burn us all. Find it, destroy it. But in hidden corners of the galaxy, there were those who smiled when they heard the signal. Traders, smugglers, and slaves whispered the word they never thought they would. Here again, humans. Legends told of a time when humans fought not for power, but for survival. And in that struggle, they became unstoppable. Back on the warship, deep inside the dark corridors, machines moved. Drones began repairing broken walls. Lights shined in long-forgotten hangars. The ship was not empty. It carried frozen chambers, rows upon rows of silent figures. Human soldiers, locked in sleep for ages, waiting for the signal to wake. A single chamber hissed open, mist spilled out, and a man stepped forward, his breath shaking, his eyes adjusting to the light. His name, forgotten by history, was Captain Eric Vale. His heart beat fast as memories rushed back. War fire, the fall of human colonies. He remembered the last order given to him before everything went dark. Sleep until the stars need us again. Now, the stars were calling. He looked at the main screen. The ship's AI spoke to him, calm and cold. Captain, we are alone. Human civilization is gone. Only this ship remains. Eric's hands tightened into fists. He stood tall, his voice steady. Then we will rebuild it. Even if we are the last, humanity will not be forgotten. Far beyond, in the darkness, fleets were already moving. Alien ships gathered, preparing for war. None of them knew how dangerous the awakening of one forgotten human ship could be. But soon they would remember, and the stars trembled. The warship drifted slowly, but it was no longer silent. Engines pulsed like a heartbeat, echoing through its long corridors. Captain Eric Vale walked carefully through the control deck, his boots heavy against the steel floor. His eyes scanned the panels, half broken, half working. Dust still clung to the walls, but the ship was alive. He could feel it watching him. The ship's AI, voice calm but strange, followed him. "Captain, systems are unstable. Weapons are at 20%. Engines at 60. We cannot fight a fleet yet." Eric stood tall, his face hard, but inside he felt a storm. "We don't need to fight yet," he said. "We need to understand what has happened. Show me the records." Screens lit up, lines of history rushing past. Years, decades, centuries, humanity's colonies vanished one by one. Wars with alien races, betrayals, silence, finally, nothing. Humanity is gone, the AI whispered again. Aric's chest tightened. He remembered the faces of his people, the children he swore to protect, remembered Earth, though it was only a blur now, lost to time. He clenched his fists. "No, humanity is not gone. As long as I live, it breathes. As long as this ship moves, we are not finished." Far away, in the Zeeth High Nest, fear spread like fire. The destroyed scout ship had sent one last signal before its death. The message was clear. A human warship has awakened. In the Queen's chamber, thousands of her subjects hissed in panic. The Queen's eyes burned red. "Summon the War Council," she commanded. "No delay. If humans return, they will end. Us all, we must strike first." Across the hive stars, fleets began to gather. Thousands of insect ships, fast and sharp like blades, swarmed together, but the fear inside the Queen was deep. She had heard old stories told by her ancestors, stories of humans fighting until the last breath. Humans who never surrendered, humans who burned entire fleets even when outnumbered, and now one of their warships was back. Meanwhile, on the warship, Arik explored the lower decks. The corridors were silent, but he could hear soft clicks and movements. Machines, drones, and repair bots were busy. Some were ancient, moving with broken steps, but they worked with tireless energy. Sparks danced as they welded torn walls. Arik entered the cryo chamber. The sight froze him. Thousands of glass pods stood in long rows, stretching into the distance. Inside each pod was a human soldier, sleeping, their faces pale but alive. He pressed his hand against one pod. His voice shook. "My brothers, my sisters, you waited." The AI spoke softly. "Cryosystems are damaged. Many cannot wake. Only a fraction will survive reactivation. Shall I begin?" Rhett closed his eyes. The thought of waking them only to throw them into a war against unknown enemies burned inside him. But he knew they had no choice. "Yes," he whispered. "Wake them. Humanity fights again." Hisses filled the chamber as pods began to open. Steam rose and soldiers fell forward, coughing, gasping for breath. Men and women looked around with fear and confusion. But when they saw Eric standing before them in his uniform, their fear turned into something else. "Hope, Captain." One soldier croaked. We're still alive?" Arik nodded, his voice strong. "You are alive. The galaxy has forgotten us. But we will make them remember." Cheers echoed weakly through the chamber. Voices tired but burning with fire. But in the depths of space, the Zeeth were already hunting. A small group of their warships found the first trail, the wreckage of the destroyed scouts. They hissed in anger and fear. "The human ship is awake," their leader said. "We must destroy it before it regains strength." They turned toward the signal, following the trail of energy that pulsed like a beacon. Back on the warship, alarms screamed. The AI's voice cut sharp through the air. "Captain, incoming signatures. 8 enemy fleet's 5 ships. Zeeth design. Distance to ours."
Oh.
Soldiers who had just awakened looked around in shock. They were weak, confused, and unarmed. Arik did not flinch. He looked at the glowing screen, showing the enemy dots closing in. 2 hours, he said quietly. Then they will come. He turned to his soldiers, his voice rising. Listen to me. You're tired, you are afraid, but you are human. Do not kneel. We do not run. We fight, even in the dark, even forgotten. We are stronger than they will ever be. The soldiers stood straighter, strength returning to their eyes. Arik turned back to the AI. Ready the ship. Even broken, even weak, we will show them who we are. Outside, the stars burned cold, watching silently. The first battle was coming. Humanity's forgotten warship, half dead but alive, was about to face the galaxy once again, and far away. Entire civilizations whispered in fear. The humans have returned. The stars outside were calm, but inside the warship, tension filled the air. The soldiers, just woken from centuries of sleep, moved through the halls with weak steps. Their bodies ached, their heads spun, but their eyes burned with something. Powerful determination. Captain Arik Vale stood on the command deck, watching the enemy signals get closer. 5 red dots moving fast, hunting them. His jaw was hard, his voice sharp. Status report. The AI answered coldly. Engine stable. Shields at 30%. Only 2 main cannons are online. Secondary weapons offline. Enemy ship's thief design will reach us in 1 hour. Arik's hand tightened around the railing. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and still half broken. But retreat was not an option. Then we fight, he said. The soldiers who heard him straightened, their fear turning into fire. Some rushed to weapon stations, others to engineering, working with drones to repair systems as fast as they could. Sparks lit the hallways, the sound of tools mixed with the hum of engines. One young soldier, barely awake from cryo, looked at Arik with wide eyes. Captain, we're not ready. We'll die out there. Arik looked at him, calm but firm. Maybe, but if we fall fighting. We will remind them who we are. The soldier swallowed hard, then nodded. Fear remained in his chest, but pride was stronger. Far away, the Zeeth ships closed in. Insect-like vessels, sharp and jagged, their hulls glowing with green light. Inside their command chamber, the leader clicked his mandibles, hissing orders. Humans are weak. They are dust. Crush them before they grow. The swarms split into attack formation, surrounding the warship like predators circling prey. Back on the human ship, alarms echoed. Contact in 5 minutes, the AI warned. Arik stood tall, his eyes locked on the view screen. Soldiers around him held their breath. The silence before the storm was heavy. Then, like thunder, the first attack came. Green plasma fire streaked. Across the void, slamming into the warship's shields, the ship shook violently, throwing men to the floor. Sparks rained down as panels cracked. Shields at 25%, the AI reported. Arik gritted his teeth. Return fire. First human cannon roared. A blinding beam of white energy cut through the darkness, striking one Zeeth ship. The alien vessel spun, burning, before exploding into pieces. Cheers erupted on the deck. 1 down, Arik growled. 4 to go. But the Zeeth struck back, firing in swarms. The warship shook again and again, shields breaking, hull cracking. The crew worked frantically, shouting, welding, repairing. The young soldier at weapons cried out, "We can't take another hit like that." Arik leaned forward, eyes cold as steel. "And we don't take hits. Aim. Fire again." The second cannon lit up. Another beam tore through space, slicing a second Zeeth ship in half. The explosion painted the void with fire. But now the remaining 3 circled tighter, attacking from all sides. Plasma smashed into the warship's engines. System screamed. "Engines down to 40%, the AI warned. Arik slammed his fist on the console. "Don't let them corner us. Use the wreckage hide." Us. The massive warship turned, sliding into the burning remains of the destroyed Zeeth ships. Smoke and fire covered it like a cloak. The alien ships fired blindly into the wreckage, unsure where their target was. Inside the warship, the crew held their breath as the ship went dark. lights dimming to near silence. For a moment, it was as if the ancient ship was dead again. The Zeeth circled, confused. Their leader hissed. Where did they go? Find them. And then, like a ghost, the warship came alive. From the smoke, the last cannon fired point blank. The beam struck, piercing straight through one alien ship. The explosion ripped the darkness apart. Now only two remained. But the warship was breaking. Sparks fell, metal groaned, and one cannon failed completely. The AI spoke, its voice calm but urgent. Captain, damage is critical. If we continue, we may not survive. Eric's face was hard, his voice steady. We survive by fighting, not hiding. The two remaining Zeeth ships attacked together, plasma fire slamming into the human vessel. The hull cracked, alarms screamed, and part of the ship's outer plating tore away. Spinning into the void, soldiers shouted, some injured, but none left their posts. The young soldier at weapons cried out, sweat on his face. Captain, we're out of power for the cannons? Arik's eyes narrowed. He looked at the enemy ships closing in for the kill. Then give me ramming speed. The crew froze, eyes wide. One whispered, he's serious. The AI confirmed collision course. Possible. Survival chance less than 20%. Eric did not blink. Hey, do it. The engines roared. The warship turned sharply, rushing forward like a beast awakened. The Zeeth ships fired desperately, plasma slamming into its broken shields. But the carrier did not stop. It crashed into the nearest alien ship, tearing through it like a blade. The Zeeth vessel exploded in fire, its remains scattering into the void. The warship itself shook violently, alarms blaring, but it survived. Only one enemy ship remained. The surviving Zeeth ship fled, its leader hissing in fear. Impossible. They are still monsters. The human warship drifted in silence, broken and burning, but alive. On the command deck, Eric stood tall, his face lit by fire and smoke. He looked at his crew, his voice steady, but filled with fire. This is only the beginning, let the galaxy see. Humanity is not gone, we are back. And in the distance, signals spread. Civilizations across the stars heard the message. The humans had returned on, they were already winning. The warship floated through the darkness, its hull scarred, smoke rising from broken vents. Inside, the crew worked tirelessly, repairing what they could. Sparks lit the corridors, the sound of tools echoed, and tired soldiers pushed themselves harder than ever. Captain Eric Vale stood on the command deck, staring at the stars. His eyes were sharp, but his mind heavy. They had won their first battle, but at a terrible cost. Half the systems were broken, shields nearly gone, and many soldiers injured. Yet deep inside him, a fire burned. Humanity had been forgotten, erased from history, but now the galaxy knew they were back. The AI broke the silence. Captain, transmissions are spreading across the sectors. The Zeeth have announced our return. Many factions are reacting. Eric ordered. On the screen, signals lit up. Messages from alien worlds, governments, and empires, all whispering one word, humans. Some were filled with fear, others with anger, and some with hope. In the Yarth Dominion, a council of scaled reptilian lords gathered. Lord leader slammed his clawed hand on the table. The humans were a nightmare. If they return, everything we built will burn. We must join the Zeeth. Together we will crush them before they rise. In another part of the galaxy, the Corians, a bird-like race, spoke in softer tones. Their elders remembered different stories. The humans were not only warriors, they protected the weak. They broke chains. If they live again, perhaps there is hope for us. The galaxy was dividing. Fear on one side, hope on the other. Back. On the warship, repairs continued. Soldiers who had just woken from cryo moved slowly, but their spirits were strong. They carried weapons, tested engines, and patched hull plates. The ship groaned like an old beast, but it lived. Arik walked among his crew. He placed his hand on a soldier's shoulder, steadying him. "You fight well," he said. The soldier, still pale, nodded weakly. "We will fight, Captain, even if we fall. The galaxy will remember us." Eric's eyes softened for a moment, then hardened again. "No, we will not fall. Humanity doesn't crawl out of the dark just to die again. We rise." Suddenly alarms screamed. The AI's voice cut sharp. "Incoming transmission. Unknown origin." "Not Zeeth." The crew tensed. Eric narrowed his eyes. "Put it through." The screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. A Korean elder, feathers silver, eyes sharp but kind. "Human captain," the elder spoke slowly. "If you can hear this, know that not all races are your enemies. Long ago, our people fought beside yours. We remember your honor, even if others remember only your fire. The galaxy trembles at your return. But some of us welcome it." The crew gasped. Whispers spread. "Not all aliens wanted them destroyed, Arik." Lean forward. "If you speak the truth, Elder, then prove it. The Zeeth will not stop. They will send fleets to hunt us. If you would stand with us, then stand now." The Korean elder nodded. "We cannot send fleets, not yet. But we can give you what you need most: knowledge. The location of human ruins. Worlds where your people once stood. You may find strength there." The transmission ended. For a long moment, the deck was silent. Then Arik turned to his crew. His voice carried across the room. "Do you hear that? Humanity's not alone. Our past still waits for us. Our allies still remember. We will not just survive. We will rise again." Cheers filled the deck, weak but proud. But far away, in the Zeeth high nest, fury spread. The Queen's wings shook with rage as reports arrived. 3 of our ships destroyed by one ancient human vessel. Another fled in fear. "This cannot be allowed." Her voice thundered across the hive halls. "Summon the swarm. It's not 5 ships. It's not 10. Thousands. We will crush this human ghost before others rally to them." The Zeeth swarm began to gather, countless ships rising from their hive worlds, moving like a sea of fire across the stars, and still the messages spread. Across slave colonies, across hidden worlds, across forgotten ruins, the whisper grew stronger. Humans are back. Back on the warship, Arik stood by the window, looking into the endless black. His reflection was tired, but his eyes burned like stars. He whispered to himself, words meant not just for him, but for every soul who still believed. They forgot us for ages, but now they will remember. The stars outside shimmered, as if listening, and somewhere in the void, something old and powerful stirred. The warship glided through the stars, wounded but alive. Its hull still carried scars from the first battle, but deep inside, hope had begun to grow. The crew, tired but determined, worked with steady hands. Sparks from repairs lit the halls like fireflies. Captain Arkvale stood at the center of the command deck. Before him, the stars shifted as the ship followed new coordinates. The message from the Korean elder echoed in his mind: "Seek the ruins of your people. There you will find strength." The AI's calm voice broke the silence. "Captain, we are approaching the system marked by the Koreans. Long-range scans detect debris fields, old stations, and something larger." Eric's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The screen lit with the image of a planet, gray and broken, its surface scarred by old battles. Around it drifted the remains of ancient stations, their frames twisted and hollow. But deeper, hidden in the shadow of the planet, something massive floated. It was another ship. Not alive, not awake, just silent, frozen in time. Its hull was cracked, its engines cold, but its size was enormous, even larger than their own warship. The crew stared in awe. One soldier whispered, "It's human, isn't it?" Attic's voice was low, steady. "Yes, another of our kind. A relic of the old wars." They moved closer, passing through wreckage of forgotten battles. Human ships broken in half, alien corpses drifting like dust. Silent reminders of how fierce humanity once was. As they neared the giant vessel, the AI spoke again. This ship's design is unfamiliar, older than ours. Its systems are offline, but there may still be power within. It could hold weapons or knowledge. Arik turned to his soldiers. Prepare boarding teams. If this ship holds even a spark of our past, we need it. Within the hour, soldiers in armored suits crossed the void, landing on the silent giant. Their boots echoed as they entered the dark corridors. Dust floated in the air, untouched for centuries. Lights on, Arik ordered, his voice steady through the comms. Beams cut through the dark, revealing rusted walls, broken panels, and old banners. Their colors faded, but still recognizable, the symbol of humanity. The soldiers walked carefully, their breaths heavy in the silence, where suddenly one of them froze. "Captain, look." A row of statues stood in the corridor. It's not stone, but armored figures, old human warriors, their suits plated and massive, standing like guardians of the dead. Arik's chest tightened. He reached out, his gloved hand brushing against the cold armor. These were not statues. These were men and women, sealed in ancient battlesuits, their bodies long gone, but their image eternal. They wanted to be remembered, Arik whispered. Deeper they went, until they reached the command chamber. It was vast, its ceiling cracked, starlight seeping through. In the center lay a great console, dead for centuries. "AI, can you connect?" Arik asked. "Attempting," the AI replied. A long silence followed. Then suddenly, lights flickered. The console glowed weakly, and an ancient voice, broken and static, filled the air. "To whoever finds this, we fought until the end. The galaxy turned against us, but we left behind what they feared most. Find the vault. Find the fire of humanity." The voice died, the console sparking out. The soldiers stood silent, their hearts pounding. Arik clenched his fist. The vault. That's what we're looking for. They searched deeper until they found a sealed chamber. Its doors were massive, covered in old human script. The soldiers struggled, forcing them open with all their strength. Inside, they found rows of crates, untouched by time. Weapons, armor, and technology from a forgotten age. Some designs were unfamiliar, some terrifying. Humanity had hidden its greatest creations here. Waiting to be found, one soldier lifted a weapon, heavy and glowing faintly with power. His voice shook. "Captain, these are not just tools. These are nightmares." Arik's eyes burned with fire. "No, these are reminders. Proof of what we were and what we can be again." But before they could take more, alarms screamed across the warship. The AI's voice cut sharp through the comms. "Captain, enemy fleet incoming. Zeeth's signature. Dozens of ships. They followed us." As the soldiers froze, Arik's voice, calm but fierce, echoed through the comms. "Take what you can carry. Back to the ship. Now." They rushed, hauling weapons and crates, running through the silent halls of the ancient vessel. Behind them, shadows of the past seemed to watch, as if cheering them on. Back aboard their own warship, Arik stood tall on the deck. The screen showed the swarm of Zeeth ships closing fast, dozens of green dots burning toward them. The crew looked at him, fear in their eyes. But Arik's voice cut through the fear, steady and strong. "We have what we need. We have the fire of our past, and we will use it." He turned toward the stars, his eyes sharp as steel. Let them come. The galaxy had forgotten humanity for ages, but now, armed with their old power, the humans were ready to make the stars remember. The void outside burned with green light. The Zeeth swarm arrived in full force, dozens of insect-shaped warships. Their wings of metal spread wide, their engines glowing like fire. They moved together like a hive, fast and sharp, filling the stars with death. Inside the human warship, alarms screamed. The crew moved quickly, hands racing over consoles, sweat running down their faces. Some soldiers had just woken from cryo, still weak, but they stood at their stations. Ready, Captain Arik Vale stood tall on the command deck, his voice steady. Report, the AI answered in its calm tone. Enemy fleet, 53 ships. Our systems, shields 40%, weapons 30. However, ancient weapons retrieved from the vault are now installed. Power signatures are stable, ready for testing. The crew glanced at one another nervously. No one knew what the old human weapons would do. They were relics from a forgotten war, locked away for a reason. Arik's eyes were cold, and it's time we remember why they feared us. Swarm moved closer, green plasma fire already streaking toward the warship. The first blasts hit, shaking the ship, throwing soldiers against walls. Sparks rained down, the smell of smoke filling the deck. Shields at 35%, the AI reported. Arik raised his hand. Target the lead ship. Fire. Deep hum filled the air as the ancient weapon powered up. The lights across the ship dimmed for a moment. A beam of pure white light erupted from the warship. It struck the lead Zeeth vessel. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the alien ship split apart in silence, its body melting, breaking into glowing fragments. The explosion lit the darkness like a star being born. The crew gasped, eyes wide. One soldier whispered by the stars. It cut through them like paper. But Arik did not smile. His voice stayed hard. Do not stare. Fire again. The ancient weapon roared once more, and another Zeeth ship vanished in fire. The swarm screamed in panic through their coms. The humans had awakened something they thought was gone forever, but the Zeeth were not weak. They regrouped, spreading wide, firing from all sides. Plasma rained down on the warship, hammering it over and over. Shields cracked, hull plates tore away, corridors shook violently. Shields at 20%, the AI called out.
Breaches on decks, 4 and 6.
Casualties reported. Soldiers rushed to seal the broken hulls, dragging the wounded to safety. Still, none abandoned their posts. They were human. They fought even when bleeding. Eric's eyes burned as he watched the swarm surround them. Switch to scatter mode. Show them our storm. The AI obeyed. Smaller ancient weapons, hidden within the crates, activated. Dozens of glowing orbs shot out from the warship, spinning into the swarm. At first, the Zeeth laughed, thinking them weak. Then the orbs detonated. Each burst unleashed waves of white fire, tearing through enemy ships, burning holes straight through their hulls. In seconds, 6 more Zeeth vessels were gone, their remains drifting in silence. The swarm screamed in fear now. They had expected an easy kill, a broken relic of the past. Instead, they faced the nightmare their ancestors had warned them about. But numbers still mattered. The swarm pressed harder, dozens of ships firing at once. The warship shook violently, sparks exploding across the command deck. Panels shattered, soldiers fell, but the crew rose again, refusing to yield. Shields at 10%, the AI warned. The crew's eyes turned to Arik. They waited for orders, fear heavy in their chests, but his voice came sharp, strong, unbroken. We do not bow, we do not beg. Fire everything. The warship roared. Ancient weapons, old cannons, new energy all unleashed at once. Beams of white fire cut through the swarm. Explosions bloomed across the stars, one after another. Painting the void with light in minutes, half the Zeeth fleet was gone. The survivors panicked. Their leader screamed across the hive combs, "Retreat! Retreat before the ghosts consume us!" The swarm scattered, fleeing into the void, their green lights vanishing into the distance. Silence fell. The stars were quiet again. Inside the warship, the crew sat stunned. Their hands shook, their faces pale, but their eyes burned with pride. They had stood against 50 ships, and won. Arik stood in the center of the deck, smoke curling around him, his face lit by the fire of the ruined swarm. His voice was low, but every soul heard it. They thought we were gone. They thought we were weak. But we are human. The stars will never forget us again. The crew cheered, their voices rising like thunder. But deep in the galaxy, the Zeeth Queen screamed in rage. Her swarm had been broken by one ship, one ghost of humanity. She slammed her claws against the hive floor, her voice echoing. Summon the grand swarm. Summon them all. This ends now. If we must burn the stars to kill the humans, then we will burn them. And far away, other civilizations watched in silence. Some trembled, some cheered, and some began to wonder if the time had come to choose sides. The galaxy was waking, humanity was rising, and war was coming. The warship drifted in silence, its hull still glowing from the battle. Inside, the crew worked without rest, patching broken systems, sealing wounds, and carrying their dead with quiet respect. Victory had been theirs, but the price was heavy. Captain Eric Vale stood on the command deck, his hands behind his back, staring at the ruined stars outside. Pieces of the destroyed Zeeth ships floated like ashes. The silence was thick, broken. Only by the hum of engines, the AI's calm voice filled the room. Captain Long-Range sensors report multiple signals. Not Zeth. Unknown. The crew stiffened. Soldiers gripped their weapons. After so much fighting, another enemy could mean the end. Bring them on screen, Arik ordered. The image appeared. 3 ships approached slowly, sleek and silver. Unlike the jagged designs of the Zeeth, their symbols glowed faintly on their hulls, spirals, and wings. Eric narrowed his eyes. Identify, the AI replied. Quarian ships, small fleet. Weapons active, but not aimed. The crew whispered among themselves. The Quarians had sent the message of hope, but no one knew if they could be trusted. The comms buzzed, voice soft, but strong came through. Human warship. This is Elder Sail of the Quarians. We come not to fight, but to speak. Arik gave a sharp nod. Open channel. The screen shifted, showing the feathered face of the Quarian elder, silver feathers glowing in the dim light. His eyes carried both sadness and respect. Captain Eric Vale, Sail said, bowing his head slightly. You are real. Humanity has returned. The stars will shake because of you. Arik's voice was calm but hard. Why are you here, Elder? To watch? To warn us to crawl back into the dark? The Elder shook his head. No. We are here because the Zeth move against you. Their swarm gathers more ships than you can count. They will burn everything too. Destroy you. The crew tensed, whispers spreading. Some clenched their fists in anger, others in fear. Eric's eyes narrowed. Then you know our enemy. But tell me, what do you want? To fight with us? Or to watch us die? The Sail was silent. For a long moment, then he spoke softly. The Quarians are not many. We cannot give you fleets, but we can give you knowledge. Maps of secret paths, hidden systems, supply worlds the Zeth do not guard. We remember what your kind once did. We will not betray you. Arik studied him. The Elder's eyes were steady, not trembling with fear or lies. Finally, Arik gave a slow nod. Then you are welcome. Share what you know. Together we will make the stars tremble again. Channel closed. The crew looked at Arik, their faces filled with hope. For the first time, they had an ally. The AI's voice cut through the moment. Captain, reports spreading across the sectors. Other races are watching. Some whisper of alliance. Others call for your destruction. The galaxy is dividing. Eric's eyes hardened. Good. Let them choose. But once they choose, there will be no turning back. Far away, deep in the hive systems, the Zeeth Queen prepared her grand swarm. Her vast chamber shook with the roar of her subjects. Millions of insect-like ships were rising from the hive worlds, gathering into the largest armada. the galaxy had seen in centuries. The Queen's voice thundered across the hive mind. The humans dare rise again. They killed our ancestors. We'll not do it again. We'll erase them, burn them, scatter their memory to dust. The swarm answered with a single, terrifying hiss that echoed across space. But not all listened in silence. In secret chambers across other worlds, leaders whispered. Some feared the humans, remembering tales of unstoppable fire. Others remembered humans as liberators, protectors of the weak. On the slave world of Drelith, chains rattled as prisoners whispered in the dark. The humans are back, one said, his voice trembling. If they live, maybe we will be free. And in the great halls of the Yarth Dominion, reptilian lords hissed in anger. The humans will rise again if we do not strike now. We must side with the Zeeth, or they will crush us all. The galaxy was no longer silent. Every race, every system, every leader was watching, waiting, choosing back on the warship. Eric walked the halls, passing his soldiers. Some were bandaged, others bleeding, but every eye turned toward him with respect. One young soldier stepped forward, his voice shaking. "Captain, can we win?" Against all of them. Arik stopped. His gaze was sharp, his voice low but steady. "Win? I do not know. But fight. Always. That is what makes us human. We fight until the stars themselves. Remember our name?" The soldier straightened, fire lighting in his eyes. On the deck, the crew prepared the new maps from the Karains. Hidden routes appeared on their screens, paths unknown to the Zeth. Arik studied them in silence. His voice was quiet, but carried weight. "We will not wait for the swarm to come to us. We will strike first." The crew stared in shock. One officer asked, "You mean attack the hive itself?" Arik turned, his eyes burning like fire. "Yes, humanity did not survive centuries to hide. We strike. We remind them why they feared us." The crew cheered, their voices shaking the deck. The stars outside shimmered cold. But in their light, humanity's fire burned bright. The human warship cut through the darkness. Following the secret paths given by the Karains, the stars ahead glowed red, burning brighter than usual. It was no natural light. It was the Zeth swarm. The crew stared at the screen in silence. Millions of insect-shaped ships filled the void, stretching farther than the eye could see. There! Green lights pulsed like a sea of fire. The swarm was endless. On the command deck, Captain Arik Vale stood tall, his face calm, his eyes like steel. His voice was steady. "This is the heart of their hive. If we fall here, humanity dies. We win, the galaxy remembers who we are." The soldiers, tired, wounded, and outnumbered, raised their fists. "For humanity," they shouted together. The AI spoke in its calm, cold tone. "Captain, swarm density is extreme. Survival chance, less than 1%. Eric's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then let's show them how much damage 1% can do." The Zeeth moved first. Their swarm surged forward, a living storm of fire. Plasma bolts rained down like meteors, slamming into the human warship. Shields shattered, the hull cracked. Whole sections of the ship tore away into the void. The crew held their ground. Soldiers who could barely stand fired the ancient weapons, their hands shaking but unbroken. The ship roared back, beams of white light tearing through the swarm, explosions blooming like stars. 10 Zeeth ships fell, then 20, then 50. But still the swarm came. Inside the hive command ship, the Zeth Queen hissed in rage, her wings trembling. "Burn them. They cannot stand against us." But even as she shouted, her eyes showed fear. Every blast from the human warship tore apart her swarm like it was nothing. Every strike reminded her of the stories, the nightmares passed down from her ancestors. On the human deck, alarms screamed. "Engines failing?" one officer cried. "Weapons overheating," another shouted. Arik's voice cut through the chaos, steady as stone. "Hold. Keep firing. Every second we live, the galaxy remembers." The soldiers obeyed, their faces pale, but their eyes burning. They knew they were dying, but they also knew their deaths would echo across the stars. The ancient weapons glowed. Hotter? Brighter? The AI spoke sharply. Captain, if we fire all remaining weapons at once, we can break their fleet. But the power will destroy us. The crew froze. A silence filled the deck. Eric's eyes narrowed. His voice was calm, almost soft. Do it. The AI hesitated. Captain, that will mean do it, Arik repeated, his voice like iron. We are human. Better to burn bright than fade. The crew stood silent. Then, one by one, they nodded. None begged. None turned away. They were ready. The warship began to glow, its hull shining with blinding light as every weapon, every system. Every drop of power was fed into one final strike. The Zeeth swarm closed in, as confident of victory. Then the human warship roared. White. Fire erupted in every direction, a storm of energy that tore through the swarm like a blade through glass. Hundreds of Zeeth ships exploded at once, their bodies shredded, their flames lighting the void. The shockwave spread farther, consuming the swarm. Shattering ships by the thousands, the Queen screamed as her command ship cracked apart, her hive mind torn into silence, and then quiet. The swarm was gone. The stars were filled only with ashes, burning fragments, drifting slowly into the dark. The human warship floated in the silence, its body broken, its lights dimming. On the deck, smoke filled the air. Soldiers lay where they stood, some alive, some gone. The ship was dying. Captain Arkvale stood at the window, his hand pressed against the glass. His voice was low but strong. They will remember us. They will remember humanity. The AI's voice, fading, spoke softly. Captain, systems failing. It has been an honor.